Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geopolitical Trend, where truth matters. Very, very excited to be with you on this July 14th. So, halfway of July is gone already. So, anyway, excited to be with you. Got an interesting topic. This one has to do with the leaked audio recording by which the incompetent Trump threatening to bomb Beijing. This, like, it just makes you just shake your head as far as the level of stupidity and incompetence. So I'm gonna be detailing for you not only the audio, which I will share with you, by the way, but also the bigger picture of all this, because there is sort of a conversation inside the halls of power in Washington regarding the next direction, which is the East, Far East. So I'm going to put this in perspective for you in a form of analysis, of course, and I will answer if you have any question towards the end. But first, let's say hi to our wonderful community. Let me see who is here. Lian, good to see you. Timeline Dunkley, as always. Muhammad Mazharuddin. Truth Seeker, Alice Talukin, good to see you. Tom Sayawires, good to see you. I haven't seen you for a while. Farid Amal, as always. Raphael, salut à toi aussi. Atin Wu, good to see you. Taiwan Still. Sanktan, good to see you. And Matt Backy, here you are. Who else is here? Anir Bra. Good to see you. So, anyway, guys, let's get into this. First of all, I want to let you know, don't forget to join me tomorrow for my conversation with Larry Johnson. He will be here. I'm going to put the link for you guys in the chat box, so you can join us tomorrow for it will be very, very interesting conversation I will be having with Larry Johnson. So, second thing, I want to say thank you for responding to the survey question. I did share this question with you, and I must admit, I was very impressed with some of your answers, guys. Actually, all of you, no exception, and I mean it when I say that. It just I was touched by that. So let me share just to share this one with everybody, so you'll see the results of the survey. So the question was, what controls the quality of your life? So, and here's the results of it. So 21% said emotions, 32% said money, 39% said relationships, and 8% said I don't know. So once again, truly appreciate you guys participating in that survey. So that's sometimes I just wanted to share that. So anyway, let's get into our conversation about the pinnacle of stupidity regarding Mr. Trump's threat to bomb Beijing in case it invaded Taiwan. I mean, it just it's I can't find a word to describe this level of stupidity. So, but here is the thing: this was a surfaced audio recorded. By the way, this doesn't happen last week. This happened about a year ago during a private a meeting with donors. So, but to me, it was like, this is not something you say jokingly. This is not. It's a dangerous precedent here. Whether you're aware of what you're saying or not, and let alone you're threatening a major country like China. Does Mr. Trump understand what China is capable of doing if that ever happens? So, and this is why, and I said this recorded video, some sort of threatening to bomb Beijing, raised eyebrows, and again, raised eyebrows, not as far as the sort of what Trump will do. It raised eyebrows as far as the level of stupidity that Mr. Trump exemplifies, because that's the way. So, and what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna share the clip with you here. Then I'll do my own analysis. So let me share the screen with you here, and we'll get right into the sections, because I'm gonna use the same recording, because he did. Mr. Trump said the same about he will bomb Moscow. it's just it's just stupidity. So let's take a listen to the recording, okay? And I'm gonna do it briefly here. Then we'll move on into our conversation. So let me make sure you guys. I'm gonna make a full screen here, and there is the transcript on the screen of it in case, because the audio is not as clear as you can expect it.
President Xi of China. But I said the same thing to them. I said, you know, if you go into Taiwan, I'm going to bomb at Beijing. He thought I was crazy. He said, Beijing, you're going to bomb Beijing. I said, I have no choice. I got to bomb. We're going to bomb Beijing. And he didn't believe either, except 10%. And 10% is all you need. In fact, 5% would have been okay. And we never had a problem. We would have never had a problem.
Yeah, that's the level of idiocy and stupidity. So here is what's interesting, guys, because I do remember during the same time when, and as a matter of fact, not when the recorded was made, it was when it was released recently, and it was just weeks after Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense, none other than Pete Hegseth, it's right here, with the Filipino Secretary of Defense, who, by the way, I don't know if you guys know that this guy, the Philippines Defense Secretary, has a dual citizenship because he holds a passport from Malta. Makes you just wonder, really, does he care for the Filipino people? But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. What's interesting about Pete Hegseth, the statement in which he warned, this level of stupidity. He warned that an invasion of Taiwan is imminent, or could be imminent, and I put this in quote. That just shows you the level of stupidity. How many times have we heard this argument? Oh, China's going to invade Taiwan next year. Oh, China's going to invade Taiwan in 2 years. You know, so. And this is where you see where the narrative is going, because you all remember, while Taiwan is still a top arms supplier, it's the U.S. that provides them the weapons and so forth. So, because what Washington wants to do, it was always to maintain this so-called strategic ambiguity, on whether it will come to the aid of Taiwan or not. So. And this is, again, to put this in perspective for you, because what you need to know vis-a-vis this clip, which, by the way, it was a journalist from the Washington Post. His name is Isaac Amsdorf. He's the one who released this one here. So, and I just wanted to give credit where credit is due. Now, as I said, he's the one who released this, and in which it was heard that Trump just saying that one. So, but here is the irony of all this. Excuse me. The irony is that Trump did stated previously that in quote, I have a very good relationship with the Chinese and the Russian presidents. So, however, we all know what happened regarding the Ukraine front, because now Trump is becoming frustrated. Why? It's because Putin didn't buy what Trump was saying. And I will address this tomorrow with Larry. Suffice it to focus on the China aspects of it. So one thing I need you guys to understand before I move into the big picture into all this. So the one thing that you need to understand is that when it comes down to when meeting with donors, you're going to have to tell them what they want to hear. So this is what sort of candidates or whomever running for office does when in front of donors, So for me personally, understanding how the political system works, I won't exactly take what Trump is saying out of face value. Is it dangerous? Yes, it is. But will I believe in what? No, because Trump it's incompetent. Let's just say it straightforward. And once again, The only way I can describe, and again, I am not going to focus on negativity here, but that's a level of stupidity that we didn't expect to see. So now, here is the key thing that I need to share with you as far as putting this within the big picture. There are 3 key points in my analysis that I'm going to focus on. And this one, the first one has to do with the recent ASEAN foreign ministers meeting summit that took place, right? Why is this important, you may ask? I'm going to play a clip for you guys, and I want you to see this one here. Take a listen here, or take a look, because there's no sound into this, guys. They're just images, but here we go, guys. Take a look.
Thank you,
Okay, why is this important? For 2 main reasons. One of them is that Rubio is a persona non grata in China. In other words, he can't get into China. As a matter of fact, he's not the only one. There are other 5 members of Congress that they've been banned from visiting China. Second thing, within that image, within that picture, what did you notice, guys? Did you notice that it was no handshaking between Mr. Wang Yi and the Secretary Rubio? So, and that in itself is a big and clear and a loud message to the Americans. That means the Chinese, they don't give a damn about what you think of them, meaning to Rubio. Because when you compare this to what Rubio did with Sergei Lavrov, and I'm going to share the clip with you. So what you need to understand is that while China sat down in that bilateral meeting, but it was nothing, it's just a photo op, but there was no handshake because the Chinese did not want to do that, refused to do that. I am certain, guys, what Rubio was hoping for is to shake hand with Mr. Wang Yi, because the image, remember, optics matters. Chinese understood this well. They didn't even give him a chance. And second thing, like I mentioned earlier, they know that a lot of people might not understand that Rubio is a persona non grata when it comes down to China. So that's the important thing. The second thing, first, before I do this, I want to show you this clip here for the meeting with Lavrov. And again, I'll let you reach your own conclusion. Then I'll share 1/3 elements regarding these aspects here. So take a look here at the, oh, wow. Guess what, guys? I'm going to share a screen, but not. I am surprised at this. Wow. Hold on. I want you. No, I know. I'll take this back. It's working. I was like, it can be, because I just checked it this morning, but it was working fine. And it is working fine. So that's why I always say, let's not jump to conclusions. All right, take a look, guys, and I'm going to play it. We're not going to hear much, except I want you to see the handshake with your own eyes. Right there. Okay, we just wanted to play that clip. So, and once again, the reason for that is the idea that what the Chinese did versus what the Russians did. So that's 2 different stories. I just wanted you to see that one. And as a matter of fact, there is one saying in Chinese language. I don't speak Chinese. I might get you that saying as to what Mr. Wang Yi said at the end, which was, oh my gosh, if you know about the Chinese culture, when that statement is stated like that, you know something is bad, very, very, very bad. But anyway, I'll get you that at some other point. Now, the second question into all this, which you might want to ask, is why the heck is the US doing in ASEAN? Why will US attend ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations? Which is a legitimate question to ask, you know. And here is the reason what the US is giving. Washington is arguing that, you know what, our primary goal is to reaffirm our commitments to the region, to foster economic and security cooperation. And here is what gets me the most. When Washington's saying that, oh, we want to address shared challenges like maritime security and terrorism. Because here is the thing, the US is also seeking to counter China's influence in the region because it wanted so-called, and I put this in quote, to promote free and open Indo-Pacific, end of quote. No. First of all, you shouldn't be attending the ASEAN summit to begin with, even though it's for foreign ministers. And second is because the United States understand the strategic importance of Southeast Asia. Because there are two main points you need to understand on this. One is the geopolitical location of where the Southeast Asia countries are. Why? Because Southeast Asia's strategic location is at the heart of the Indo-Pacific realm, which makes it very vital for the US interests. Second one has to do with economics. The economic opportunities that lie ahead, because the region offers significant commercial, trade, and investment opportunities for the US. But at the same time, we are witnessing how ASEAN are moving towards China, because the fast-growing economies and also the large tech-savvy population within Southeast Asia. This is the reason that makes you wonder, why will the US be attending such a summit to begin with? Second point has to do with rare earth elements. You have to understand, because this one pertains to the bigger picture, and the bigger picture has to do with Euro-Asian Union, that is. Why is this important? Because when you consider what's going on right now between Azerbaijan and Russia, and by the way, I prepared the video for you guys. I did an analysis. I didn't release it. I've been having it for about a week. I have my reasons for why I didn't want to release it, but I will release it for you guys in due time soon. But you have to understand the importance of this rare earth and conflicts of the great powers that exist there. Euro-Asian Union, you need to understand it. What's its importance? Is an economic alternative to what? To sanctions imposed by the US. Because most countries in this bloc are subject to Western sanctions, and they have been working on seeking alternatives. Same thing what BRICS is doing right now to mitigate the impact of the sanctions on their economies and the growth. That is one of the key aspects. Because remember, for the past decade, almost a decade or so, when you consider the relationship between those countries, and I think I have a picture for you guys right here. Yeah, I do have a picture between those countries for over a decade now. Some Euro-Asian countries and the West have not progressed, especially after what the West did when it imposed sanctions on Russia in 2014. That's how far back. And this is why you have to think about this region in terms of wealth, in terms of conflicts, in terms of shared interest, and in terms of American interests. This is why it's important to understand this particular point. Because consider this, guys, the rare minerals and natural resources possessed by some of those countries. And I'll give you just a quick example. Russia. Because the importance of this in the global balance of power, it becomes sort of clear and evident. So I'll give you just a quick example here for Russia. So when you consider Russia, for example, Russia has one of the world's largest mineral resource bases, ranking it first in gas reserves for about 63.5 trillion cubic meters. in addition to diamond, in addition to nickel, in addition to gold. This is what's important about this. So, and when you consider this is very, very, very important to understand. Liking this video so far? Don't just be a watcher. Go ahead and hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And don't forget to tap the bell so you will not miss any of my videos or live streams. This way, you will be supporting a channel that stands for the truth and objective reporting. The choice is yours. Thanks for your support. Then another element within this rare earth has to do with China. China, the big elephant in the room. And this is why when you hear statements coming out of either the White House, president, or whomever inside Congress and all that, always have to think of the big picture. Here is the thing. As it stands right now, there is this shadow trade war that's going on, raging. So, and what was it about? It is about the control over rare earths, the control over metals. Because when you think about those elements, those are the ones that sort of power fighter jets. Those are the one that gives AI the advance, AI chips, that is. Those are the ones that used for quantum computing. And China seems to have an edge. You know, when you think about electric vehicles, the CEO of Ford was in China, okay? Drove about 100 vehicles and shipped some over to the US. Makes you just wonder. So when you think about the big elephant in the room, China, and the rare earth, you think also about the nuclear submarines, you think also about other elements. And this is why when politicians talk about sort of freedom and security and democracy and all that, behind all the scenes, you know, they are fighting over something far more bigger than that, and is who controls the elements that controls the future. And I'll give you a glimpse. And by the way, I will be releasing a video tomorrow on the channel Geopolitics and Money for an entity that reached out to us to do an analysis for them. And so just be on the lookout for that video tomorrow on the other channel, Geopolitics and Money. So, but I'm going to give you a glimpse here, guys. You know, think about this reality. And this is a reality that Washington is having a hard time admitting and accepting. 70% of US rare earth elements are imported from China. So when you consider also that China controls between 85 to 90% of global rare earth refining, you know, and when you consider about over 90% of graphite processing, so that's what China controls. So Beijing also leads in gallium. They also lead in germanium. They also lead in tungsten. You know, and what they all have in common, these elements here: gallium, germanium, and tungsten. They all are essential for semiconductors. They all are essential for lasers. They all are essential for aerospace systems. So that's what I'm saying. Make sure to look tomorrow for that video when that I'm going to be releasing. So, and the third element into this analysis here has to do with the Pentagon. So why is this important, you may ask? I'm going to share a link with you. Not a link. I'm going to show you on the screen, because it's in a foreign language. That's where. And I'm going to translate for you briefly here, guys. So take a look. To those who read Arabic, you will know, but you know, I'm going to provide just a quick translation here, just to put things in perspective for you guys. Now, when you look at it here, what are you looking at? This is, by the way, from Al Jazeera in Arabic language. It says, America تطالب اليابان وأستراليا بتوضيح دورهما إذا خاضت حربا مع الصين, which basically translates to the US demands, that's the key word, demand that Japan and Australia clarify their roles, that is, if they go to war with China. And that to me was like, whoa, the Pentagon is not asking, is demanding. So, and that is why I want you guys to understand this reality within this big picture of the leaked document that is. So I need you to put this in perspective because it will make more sense to you. So, and this is why when you look at what the Pentagon is doing, urging now Japan, demanding Japan and Australia to clarify what role they will play if the United States and China want to war over Taiwan. Is this a foregone conclusion that the US is thinking about this no point of return? Or is it just bluffing? Because really, can we take on China? I mean, come on. Look what we experienced with the Houthis or Ansarullah. Are we going to take on China? So, and the thing is, guys, you need to understand, and I'm sharing here sources with you, citing sources familiar with the discussions that took place between the Pentagon and Japan and Australia. And there is a guy by the name Elbridge Colby. Elbridge Colby is the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy. So he's the one who's been pushing the issue during the recent talks with the defense officials in both countries, Japan and Australia. So, because you got Tokyo, you got Canberra, they were surprised by what Washington's is asking for or the request they are asking. So, and at the same time, Washington itself has not offered an absolute guarantee to defend Taiwan. And defend it from what? Because this is what Colby stated on his Twitter X. Here is what he said, and I share it word for word. He's thinking about Donald Trump's logical argument. I don't see the logic into that. Here is what he said, and I quote, America First logical argument program to restore deterrence and achieve peace through strength, which includes urging allies to increase their defense spending and other efforts related to our collective defense. Yeah, you all know what it means. Yeah. And this is exactly where the big picture has to do with all this. Because if we are to go, first of all, what makes us think that we are going to come to the defense of Taiwan? What for? If Taiwan belongs to another country, well, will we want another country to come and say to Hawaii, we're going to defend you against Washington? Will we want another country to come and say to California, we will defend you against Washington? Most likely we won't. So what makes this a right for us to do? And that is, again, why I wanted to provide you the big picture into all this. Because remember, and tomorrow I will be addressing in detail with Larry this aspect of it, because Trump found out the hard way. He failed miserably when it comes down to Ukraine. Remember, wasn't he the one who said, oh, I'm going to just make a phone call and end the war between Russia and Ukraine? Yeah. If you only know the massive devastation that what Russia just inflicted on Kiev right now. So all this is not disclosed. And this is what you need to understand. It was laughable when he disclosed that he's going to bomb Moscow and he's going to bomb Beijing. I mean, I'm not laughing, guys. I'm laughing to the level of mediocrity that our so-called, I won't call them leaders, they don't deserve that, our pathetic representatives have reached. This is not a level in which you represent a country on the global stage. This is not a way of how you conduct policy. This is not a way of how to conduct diplomacy. This is not a way of how to solve issues with other countries. You can't bully your way just because you are big in size. It doesn't matter. There are ways of dealing with this issue. That's why I don't quite understand the logic of the arguments let alone a sitting president like Donald Trump. That just doesn't make any sense. And once again, I just want to put this in perspective for you guys to have a much better understanding as to what lies ahead. So when you realize that the US is pushing for the building of an ammo factory on the Philippines, when you look at the US is pushing the allies like Japan and Australia to clarify their role, when you look at what the US is doing in Africa, for example, you remember this one that the DRC is going to execute some Americans who were involved in a coup or regime change. So you put all this in perspective and you said to yourself, is this what the US is planning on? In other words, the next conflict. Once again, I am left to wonder, and I'm going to say it here, that Beijing should not tolerate, in my opinion, if I were advising the Chinese government, they have smart people enough. They have enough smart people there. They know what to do. But again, if you tolerate what the US is saying, if you tolerate what the US is doing, and China does not respond, they just opening a Pandora box. I think China now is in possession, both economically and militarily, to really, as we say in English, put the dots on the letters. Now, mettre les points sur les i. Put the dots on the letters. In other words, make it clear to this is what's going to happen if you, meaning the US, cross the line, because that era where the US and when the US used to dictate the terms to the rest of the world, that era is over. And China needs to make it clear. It's almost the same arguments I've been making about Iran. Iran is thinking about these negotiations with the Americans. Yeah, it's like pouring water over sand. You're not going to get nowhere, because some of us here in the world, when I say us, I'm referring to governments in the collective West, they will only understand the language of force. And sometimes you have to use force. You can't be rationalizing. You can't be reasoning with people who do not possess the legitimate thinking, the logical arguments. So how can you negotiate with? And now you see why Mr. Wang Yi refused to shake hand with the devil. Because remember, it was this guy, Marco Rubio, who's been advocating for arming Taiwan. Do you think the Chinese going to forget that? I don't think so. No, the Russians are the same. It's just the relationship is different vis-a-vis the US when you compare it to China. So, and that is why Euro-Asia is moving into this direction. You got the Armenian president here, and you got the Azerbaijani Ilham, which is, again, I'm going to release a video for you soon regarding the role Azerbaijan. As a matter of fact, US government, including the intelligence services, are now fueling more tensions in that part of the world. It's because we want to create more in Africa, in Euro-Asia, of course, South China Sea, with the Philippines now, and Taiwan and so forth. So that is the aim. That is the aim of what we're trying to achieve. So this is what I need you guys to understand, and that's all I have to share with you. Straight to the point. So I want just to share one comment from one of our supporters on the channels. His name is David Kiwisi. He wrote, and I quote, Dr. O, or Dr. David, I honor you. I am from Tanzania, and I watch you. You are very informative. Your content will be highly used in Africa because you speak the language of realism. I support you. I want many Africans to trust you too, but also add some of your content to cover what is happening in Africa. Remember, internet generation is in Africa now. About 70% of Africa is less than 30 years ago. So I'm gonna do that. I am going to do that. So anyway, guys, that's what I wanted to share with you here, because I just want to put things in perspective for you to understand. So tomorrow I will be having a conversation with Larry Johnson. We're going to talk about the Russian front, Europe to a degree. I'll touch on some of these issues, and I'm also working on some other key issues regarding Africa. Also, you need to know there are some two major developments in Africa. I'm going to be addressing them for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me see if there's any. No, I don't have any questions from you there. So anyway, guys, remember to support the channel if you decide to. There is the link for supporting the channel. So by buying me coffee there. And if you want to support the, oh no, that's the other one. If there's so many tabs here, man. There's the one for upcoming trip. So to Asia, I'm still planning on heading out. So I'd like us to reach the target number by about, I don't know, 2 weeks from now, maybe, if we could. So let me share with you where we are as far as the fundraising here. That's where we are. So I will greatly appreciate if you could support the Asia trip, should you decide to. It's your decision after all. So anyway, guys, I am going to be working on some other topics for you, as I mentioned, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. As always, remember, geopolitics impact your daily life in more ways than one. Until next time, bye-bye.